Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world today. Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration. Glad you could join me here today, as always. And we are continuing with The Power is Within. And that's exactly where it is. It's not out there, it's within you. It's within everything. All existence has the energy and the power within. It's not outside of you. Remember that. You have that inherent power that your famous idol has, that the person you admire the most has, that the president has, or the billionaire. You have that same ability and power within you. You just have to make use of it. You just have to tap into it. And that's why I wrote this book, to help you to do that, to remove the blockages and the things that hinder your growth and your success. So we are on location 1176. But before we begin, hit that like button and subscribe. So here we go. And the weather, I can't tell you, it's dark outside. The days are getting shorter, so you'll have to look on the Weather Channel. You may be wondering what to do about those things you did that you couldn't make amends for because of third parties or other reasons, like you can't find the people or they died. As I said before, you should never harm someone else in the attempt to heal yourself. Instead, let them be and help someone else in the universe. If adultery was a transgression, you could donate to a charity for victims of abuse. We are all connected, and whether you know it or not, you are helping them in some way just by being a better participant in the grand matrix of life. I hope you go through this process. If not now, I hope you return to it later. You will be amazed at the power and peace you will feel, no longer weighed down with the regrets of things you have done. Without that weight, you'll be able to move lightly through the world. Chapter 16. The Shared Vigil. You've removed a lot of baggage accumulated in your past and are on the path of removing more. As you continue, you'll want to take care not to pick up any more bags. They're kind of heavy. And the more you pick up, the harder it is to excel towards your dreams, your goals, your vision. Make a daily habit of running through the events of the day, looking for moments when you have stepped off the path. Did you wrong someone? Did you get angry at some event? Own those moments and do what you know needs to be done to keep them from weighing you down. The more consistently you do this, the easier the task becomes. You'll continue to gain courage to face difficult situations with others and those difficult situations within. You'll also become more aware of yourself in the moments. Patience and tolerance will become your guiding light. Where before anger was quick to manifest, love will come more easily. Forgiveness will make more sense now that you have cleaned up your past. You won't have to strain to see that everyone is doing the best they can, just as you were when you wronged others. It's more difficult to pass judgment on others when you realize that you were once not so different. And actually, if you can see something in someone else that they're doing wrong and it bugs you or you hate it, more than likely you're still doing it or you haven't forgiven yourself for when you did it in the past. One or the other. And if you haven't forgiven yourself, it's hard to forgive the person you see doing it. And it's hard to realize that they're doing the best they can. But think back when you were stepping on people's toes and hurting people, lying, cheating, stealing, whatever it happens to be, whatever your transgression was. You were doing the best you can. Right, the best you could. Okay, you wouldn't do that today. Why? Because you have more wisdom and knowledge. At that time you didn't. There's a difference. Think about that. And don't judge yourself, your past, by the wisdom and knowledge you have today. because that doesn't accomplish anything. You did the best you could, no matter what your transgression was. Go through your day conscious of and in control of your thoughts. Most people spend their days on complete autopilot, never thinking about what they are thinking about, just thinking whatever comes into their minds. Those of us that are in control of our minds and thus actively creating our reality are also creating reality for them. They are constantly reacting to the world that we are creating. Excuse me. And in that way, we are controlling their minds. Would you let someone else control your mind? Most people would be sick at the thought, yet they spend their time mentally consuming garbage all day long, pointless television, bad news, media, and the like. If you're not programming yourself, guess what? Someone else is, with their agenda. Wouldn't you prefer to program your own mind with your agenda? But yet, millions of people every day allow the social media, the regular media, the news, whatever, to input thoughts into their head, which they react to with anger, frustration, fear. This current or latest health situations that's been going on for about a year and a half is a really good example. I see people so full of fear, it controls their lives, but yet it's just something they've been told. They have no evidence. How does anybody really know? Unless you're a scientist or a medical professional and you actually, well, I better stay away from that subject. But I would like to comment more on it. But we'll move on here. I'm speaking now as though the news were bad. I don't actually think that. Like everything else, it is exactly what it is, and what we think about it gives it the context it will carry within us. And you can't believe everything on the news, maybe not even half of it. The empowered mind can look at news media impartially, practicing resistance to the impulse of fear and the tendency to believe what you see. This is a good thing. All these apparent negatives are merely opportunities to build mental strength. Every day that you resist these messages about the world is another day you gain more control over your mind and thus over your life. Are you reacting or are you responding? You don't have to watch the news to practice this. In fact, you should always be practicing it. That is your most important job each and every day, to control your mind. This is the hard work of clearing a way for that greater power inside of you to create the ideal life you want to live. While the work is hard, the victory is ever so wonderful. The easy path leads to pain and suffering in the end. You have already experienced that, and now you've found yourself on the road less traveled. Why stop now? Most people pursue the pleasures of life. Yes. Have I done that? Yes. And where does that lead? To pain. He who loves pleasure will suffer want. Okay, there's nothing wrong with pleasure, but he who loves pleasure, he who seeks pleasure, who lusts for pleasure, should be the word we use, is going to suffer some emotional pain and some want, because you can never satisfy those desires for pleasure. Now, I take a hot bath, that's pleasurable. I enjoy being with a woman, that's very pleasurable. But when that becomes too important and a main focus of your life, you've drifted away from being centered or being connected to your higher self, higher power. And that's when the misery and the pain and suffering comes, because you've gotten off the path. You just have to keep everything in moderation. And sometimes it's difficult because these pleasurable experiences feel good. Eating chocolate tastes good. Eating good food, it's all good. It all tastes good. But everything in moderation if you want true fulfillment in your life, because you'll never get it from chocolate, from food, from steak, from women, from working, from whatever, unless you're pursuing your goals and your dreams. You get fulfillment from that, but not thinking that is the end, the means to an end, because there is no end. You are constantly growing, expanding, and progressing. And if you're not, then you feel stagnant, you're contracted. Rather than coming home every day and running to the fridge for a beer, a joint, or a piece of cake, I don't know if you keep your weed in the refrigerator, then planting yourself on the couch in front of the TV for the next several hours until you fall asleep, only to wake up the next morning dreading work. Why not stay the better course? One leads to frustration and more of the same, while the other leads to fulfillment. How wonderful it is to look forward to Monday. I never dread the end of the weekend. In fact, actually this Sunday I was like, I'm ready to go back to work. I often work on the weekend. It's more than loving my job, I do. But I love my job because I love my life, and the two are not separate. If a bullheaded man like me, and I am bullheaded, or was, or still can be, make it to where I am, so can you. As you practice these principles over time, just like driving your car, they will become second nature, automatic. Less of a principle, but no less valuable advice is to find time each day to spend time in silence. I know how difficult that can be to do. Raising 6 kids by myself has taught me just how difficult it can be. Damn near impossible. I get home from work, and in half an hour, I can have at least 15 knocks on my door from the kids wanting this or wanting that. Hey, but I signed up for this. One day they won't be there knocking, and I'll probably wish they were. But it still gets frustrating when I'm trying to do some contemplation or meditation. But that is a word we've decided to toss from our vocabulary, impossible. Don't give up, keep at it, and you'll find the peace that silence can bring. Silence by itself is immensely valuable, a chance to clear your mind and think about the day or something else of interest. Meditation is also of great value. Like me, you may feel some immediate resistance to that thought. I grew up in a place where meditation was a thing crazy people did. Give it a try. Find a good book or a video series on the subject and practice it. I like to practice affirmations or prayer if you like. There are many ways to meditate. I've tried most of them. Some work incredibly well and some did not. Some worked for a time and then seemed to stop working as though their purpose had been served, and then I moved on to another technique. What works for you will only be discovered through your own personal journey. Try many or focus on one. You may even want to make up your own methods. The key is that you feel comfortable and that meditation strikes your heart. It should move you and help you visualize that which you have cultivated, a belief in your ideal life. Without a vision, the people perish. From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. He who makes it a friend will eat of its fruit. And no, I'm not a religious man. But there are so many pearls of wisdom in the ancient texts of this world. All of them point to this power which can be unlocked through meditation and belief. It's the steering wheel of the car of your life, and all you have to do is grab it and steer it. Your mind, your words, and your thoughts, your actions. These things are that steering wheel, guided to your destination. Do you have a destination? If not, decide on one. It doesn't have to be perfect and detailed, just written down so you can envision yourself being that person you desire to be. Think of a thing you'd like to accomplish or become. Write it down. Place it somewhere that you'll see it every day. This is your secret. No one else should know. Just as a bad secret that you're ashamed of has the power to steer your life in the wrong direction, a positive secret has the power to bring your ideal life to pass. This is not magic. You were born with this ability. Now you just have to use it. And truly, you were born with this. We have a reticular activating system. I think that's what it's called. Like when you buy a red car, all of a sudden you see red cars everywhere. When you get your mind focused in on the goal, you start seeing the opportunities or the steps that lead you to the accomplishment of that goal. Less than 1% of people have written goals. I don't understand that in the world. That's incredible. Write them down. They become real and they become tangible, and you will achieve them. Have a great day.